The spiritual science of overthinking. You see, overthinking is something that more than likely has been troubling you for quite some time. And here's the issue. An uncontrolled mind is an uncontrolled reality. Overthinking itself is actually a trick of the old frequency because it wants to do nothing more than destroy the potentiality and the steps that you've been taking towards materializing your desired reality. So until you know the spiritual science of overthinking and how quite literally to reverse it, unfortunately, everything it is that you've been working towards will be destroyed. And I'm not saying that lightly. That's not an exaggeration. A chaotic mind is a chaotic reality, and overthinking is nothing more than a mind that is out of control. And a mind that is out of control will lead to a reality that is out of control, despite all the work you've been doing. So it's extremely important that you understand the spiritual science of it. And as you can see, clouded mind, right?
Okay.
His head's not even there. Racing, thoughts are racing, running away from your thoughts.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
Come on, this is good work.
I like the running. I like the car.
Say less. Now we got a lot to cover, and really and truly, everybody overthinks. Everybody, no matter how many books nigga you read, no matter how many podcasts you watch or this or that, like you're still gonna overthink. And if you don't have the capability of taming your mind, I really don't mean it lightly when I say your shit will be out of control and you won't even know why. I'm not trying to pressure you, just can't stop thinking about you. You ain't even really gotta be my girlfriend. I just wanna know your name, maybe sometime we can hook up, hang out, just chill. Feels good to be in front of this board again.
It's been a while, man.
It's been a while, innit?
It's been a long while.
Oh, and I'm excited for this video in particular. This is a video I've been thinking about for like a good 2-3 weeks.
You know when Nero's been thinking about a video for 3 weeks.
People don't understand.
It's about to slap.
People don't understand how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Like, me and AJ might discuss a video idea, and I'll be like, I'm not ready.
Yeah, that.
And then
annoys
2
me.
weeks later, after I've kind of pondered on it, all of a sudden, I'll be like, cool. My mind has been able to formulate enough ideas now. Oh, this video. All right, cool.
We're gonna get some.
Oh, are you gonna get some? That's an understatement, my boy. All right, cool. So, and I got some new colors too. So, I'm spoiling you guys at this point. Cool. So, let's look at overthinking on a simplistic level. If we're overthinking, that means we're thinking more than we want to. And if we're thinking more than we want to, then that means our mind is out of control. And the mind being the central unfolding point from your frequency, your state of consciousness, your self-concept, which are all interchangeable terms for the same thing, your imagination, your mental attitude. If that in of itself is out of control, then due to the law of correspondence, as within, as without, unfortunately, your reality will also be out of control. How many times have you sat there thinking to yourself, I wish I could stop thinking the thoughts that I'm thinking right now? How many times have you thought to yourself, my mind is racing beyond my control? And every time that you do that, you descend into a deeper level of frustration and annoyance. And the thing that you have to understand about emotions is that emotion is the largest shareholder of your frequency or your state of consciousness. The only law of the subconscious mind isn't repetition, it's emotion. Because emotion in of itself is energy in motion, which means that emotion is an energetic charge. And the stronger the energetic charge, the stronger the emotion, the more likely it will enter your subconscious. And when it enters your subconscious, it becomes part of your state of consciousness, your self-concept, your imagination, your frequency. So imagine you're sat there thinking to yourself, man, I can't control my mind right now. And you're just overthinking things. And bear in mind, extrapolate this to whatever it is that you're going to be overthinking about. The template and the steps that I'm going to give you in this video will work for whatever it is that you're overthinking about. But on a simplistic level, I need you to understand that overthinking is nothing more than your mind being out of control. That's why you're overthinking, which means it's not necessarily the thoughts that's the issue. The issue is your level of control. And that's a bar, write that down. And I say that to say you need to recognize that your mind is in your control despite at times not feeling like it is. When your mind presents the illusion that it's out of control, that's not coming from you. That is coming from the old frequency. So the old frequency is an aspect of you representative of your old world, the world that you may currently be in or the world that you want to transition out of. Your old way of thinking, your old way of living, your old way of perceiving reality, your old base emotions. It is quite literally a spiritual doppelganger version of you that wants to continue existing for the mere fact that all frequencies, all energies seek to be materialized. It wants to continue staying. So it will present the illusion that it is out of your control. So the first step to actually overcoming overthinking is recognizing that even when you overthink, it is you that is overthinking. And that's a bar, write that down. And then let me say that again. When you're overthinking, we have this idea that our mind is out of control, but your mind can never be out of control. When your mind is out of control, that is the old frequency presenting the illusion to you that your mind is out of control, when the truth of the matter is it's only doing that due to the fact that there are no truths in reality other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true. Once you begin to maintain and digest this idea that your mind is out of control, then you end up experiencing a reality where your mind is out of control. Not because it's actually out of your control, but because control has been projected away from you. When the truth of the matter is there's nothing in this reality that can be away from you, because everything that is in this reality unfolds from you. And that's a bar, write that down.
You know what happened yesterday?
What happened?
I was just chilling. It was the morning, and I seen the news that Diogo Jota passed away.
Oh yes, the Liverpool football fan.
Yeah, I was like, damn.
Rest in peace, most definitely.
Rest in peace, man.
It's funny how we say rest in peace, but we never say live in peace. Ain't that crazy?
Is that a bar?
I think so.
I think my friend versed him at FIFA one time on Ultimate Team. Got smoked.
I've been smoked by him a couple of times on FIFA still. Tell me, how did you get that in those jeans? The way you dressing it is killing me. Come on and find out me. Tell me, how did you get that in those jeans?
This comment started off nice, ended a bit cheeky. Thank you, Nero. Confidence is contagious. Your confidence in all your videos have helped me build mine. I watched all your videos from the very first one to this one. I used to be a shy 42-year-old, but now the shyness is gone. This is the cheeky part. As for AJ drawing, it looks like when Nero started out drawing.
So cheeky to you.
Yeah.
You said you like the orange one, innit?
Purple. Purple's my favorite. You know me.
All right, cool. So, first things first. Now that on a simplistic level you understand what overthinking is, you actually need to understand how we actually begin to overthink. Because a lot of people will complain that they overthink, but they don't know that overthinking is a destination. But you have to understand where the journey begins and the pathway to getting to that destination of overthinking. A lot of people don't have the capability of understanding it. So please, make sure you take notes and leave them in the comments as usual. Now, when we're talking about overthinking, this is how, if you can remember this, you will never overthink again, I can assure you. Overthinking begins with, let me give an example. Cool. So, unprocessed thoughts. Now, you have to understand that we live in the 21st century. And because we live in the 21st century, we're overly stimulated and life is so fast paced that our minds is forever unprocessing thoughts and not actually getting to finish thoughts. What do I mean by this? Think about it like this. Let's say you have to get up and you have to go to school or work or whatever. You get up, you go there, you're like, shit, look at the time, I'm late, fuck, let me brush my teeth, take a quick shower, cool, whatever. You jump in the car, you're driving now, somebody's driving slow in front of you, you're thinking, why the fuck is this nigga driving slow? Then the light turns red and you're like, fuck, I'm gonna be late. Whole time you're thinking, fuck, I'm gonna be late, I'm gonna be late, I'm gonna be late. Then you go quickly, somebody beeps in front of you, now you're honking your horn at somebody, now you're beefing somebody in the car, fuck you, da 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 da. Then you get to work, then you can't even think about everything that just took place because now you have to get to work. And that is a microcosm of a macrocosm to show a reflection of how our lives move on a day-to-day basis. Our life is so fast-paced that we're forever not actually getting to finish thoughts. If you re-listen to that example that I just gave, there was about 4 or 5 thoughts there that never got to be finished because they were interrupted by life. And this happens on a daily basis. We never get to process thoughts. So if you can think about them as unprocessed thoughts or unfinished thoughts. And when you don't finish a thought, you make the mistake of thinking that that thought is gone. No, that thought goes to the back of your head. And because that thought goes to the back of your head, it's no longer in sight, but that doesn't mean that it's not there. And that's a bar, write that down. And that can be extrapolated to a multitude of things in life. Because that thought hasn't been finished and it goes to the back of your head, you're now thinking that you're done with that thought. You're thinking, oh, I'm home now, the day is done, without realizing that there's about 15 or 20 thoughts in the back of your head that never actually got to be finished. Why? Because you never actually allowed them to finish themselves. Pause. Now, even when we're talking about unprocessed or unfinished thoughts, think about it like this. I like to use the filing cabinet example. So if you ever see a filing cabinet, right, where people put like folders or files in there, eventually you can get to a point where it is overfilled. Think about every thought that you never get to finish on a daily basis. And we have thousands of thoughts on a daily basis. I believe it's somewhere in the range between 4,000 to 40,000 thoughts on a daily basis. And I can only imagine how many of them are unprocessed or unfinished. Imagine every thought that you never get to finish goes to the back of your head in this filing cabinet in your mind. If you do that consistently, day after day, again and again and again, you get to a point where this filing cabinet becomes overfilled. And when it becomes overfilled, that is when you overthink. A mind that overthinks is a mind that is overfilled. So if you want to stop overthinking, you need to make some room. How do I make some room, Nero? Relax, you're gonna get some. Steady on, zip up your pants. It's all right. A mind that overthinks is a mind that is overfilled. A mind that is overfilled is nothing more than the result of a multitude of unfinished thoughts that take place on a daily basis and you never actually get to process them. And we all have examples of this. How many times where you're driving, do you just drive in silence? What the fuck do you think that is? That is your mind unconsciously forcing you to process those thoughts. How many times will you go to take a walk? No, you might have earphones, nothing's playing. That is your mind seeking to process those thoughts. That is your mind literally getting you to finish those thoughts. Because until you have the capability of allowing your thoughts to process themselves, your mind will be overfilled. And so long as your mind is overfilled with thoughts, then in instances where you may be chilling or a situation may go wrong or a situation hasn't happened yet, your mind naturally has this proclivity to easily begin overthinking. And it's because it's easily overthinking because those thoughts have always been there. They're now just getting the time of day. That is quite literally it. So we have to understand that this has to be a process that can only be reversed through one way. If the mind overthinking is on the basis of unfinished thoughts, then the only way to clear the mind is to allow yourself to finish your thoughts. Which poses a very, very deep question. Which seems unrelated to manifestation, but nothing's compartmentalized in the mind. A mind that is overfilled and a mind that is overfilled with a multitude of thoughts that you're not even fucking aware of is your mind filled with a bunch of unconscious frequencies, a bunch of unconscious states of consciousness that you are materializing into reality. Because frequency is nothing more than immaterialized reality. What we call consciousness, frequency, self-concept, imagination, this is nothing more than immaterialized reality. Eventually it materializes into reality due to the fact of as within, as without. Naturally, that's what has to happen. But if in your mind you have a bunch of thoughts that you don't even know what's going on in your head because there's so much noise going on, how the fuck could you know what it is that you're materializing and attracting towards you? That's a bar, write that down. How many times will we step out into the world and be like, why the fuck is this happening to me? Why the fuck is it happening to me? Because you don't know what's going on within you. And that's a bar, write that down. And how could you possibly know what's going on within you when there's so much that is going within you? So when I said that this is a very serious topic, this is a very, very serious topic due to the fact that if you don't have the capability of finishing your thoughts, you're going to have a bunch of unfinished thoughts. And guess how these thoughts will want to finish themselves? By manifesting. And if you're unaware of the thoughts that want to finish themselves and materialize into reality, you'll be unaware of why you're still attracting the same type of people, why you're still making the same amount of money, why you're maybe not able to get that promotion in your job, or why you're not able to get that job. It really does matter. So the only way to get through to this is actually by finishing your thoughts. And the only way you can finish your thoughts, let me show you. And don't get it twisted. This is, we haven't even got into the technical stuff yet. Like, the old frequency really fucks you up in a whole bunch of ways you don't even fucking realize. This is the simple stuff. Just wait right there. You'll see how deep it gets. Because as you're watching everything that I'm about to say in the next couple of minutes, you're literally gonna be like, ooh,
Someone said, if you eat meat, you have zero understanding. You're a mind worshipper. Good luck.
Oh no, they've taken our spiritual card.
Are you gonna tell them what we did in New York?
Whoa,
come on, bro. Not like that. Come on, bro.
you can't say something like that, bro.
You make it sound worse.
Nah, you can't say, are you gonna tell them what we did in New York? What? Like, so me and AJ, we must have been in, what was that place called? Hudson Yard, like a shopping center.
Yeah.
And we were just doing some shopping. And we're walking by and we see a woman in the window. This is like 10:30 in the morning or something like that. We see a woman eating a burger, like a literal burger and a milkshake. And we looked at her and we're like, wow, since we're in America, you know, in Rome, do as the Romans, you know what I'm saying? So then we ate Shake Shack at 11 a.m. And when I tell you, that is the biggest regret of my life.
It was the greasiest burger I've ever had.
I felt so disgusting. I've never felt more disgusting in my life.
I'm telling you.
My body just felt like I just defiled it.
New York needs to try the Ack burgers in Birmingham.
The smash burgers?
Yeah.
No, that was really bad. And my food didn't digest until hours later.
Literally about
my body
5
was
hours.
Like, what the hell were you thinking doing what you've just done? That was bad. We didn't get a milkshake though. I got it with an iced tea to kind of like
I got
balance
like a
it out.
lemonade or some shit. Like a strawberry lemonade.
Now, the only way to process your thoughts is as follows. Quite simply, do nothing. Now, as simplistic as this seems, doing nothing taps into a multitude of different things. You see, when you do nothing, and that's a question I wanted to ask you, how much time do you make for doing nothing? Why are you always doing something? Because when you're always doing something, the mind is forever distracted. And if the mind is distracted, then you're going to be unaware of what's going on within. And if you're unaware of what's going on within, you're going to be unaware of what's going on without. And that's a bar. Please write that down. Until you actually make time consistently, you actually attribute a portion of your day to do nothing, you will never actually get to tap into yourself. And the reason I say that's for a multitude of reasons. You see, when we do nothing, we tap into what was being spoken about in Psalm 46:10, when in the Bible it says, be still and know that I am God. Before you can know God, and God is the infinite intelligence, which is where you draw from when you materialize your desired reality, because the act of materializing your desired reality requires you to transcend our third dimensional realm. And the only way you're going to transcend your third dimensional realm is if you have the capability of tapping into God or the infinite. So if you don't have the capability of tapping into God, you don't have the capability of drawing from the realm from which your reality is going to be materialized. But the prerequisite to knowing God is first being still. And if you're not doing nothing, you don't have the capability of being still, because being still and doing nothing is the exact same thing. Hence why in various traditions, especially in Buddhism, there's something called the white wall meditation, where they literally just stare at a white wall for a fixed period of time, because until you have the capability of making time to do nothing, you will never be still. But it gets even deeper. Pause. You see, when we're in this act of stillness, we actually allow our brainwaves to shift into theta and alpha. Theta and alpha are brainwave states that are conducive to the subconscious mind actually being reached. The issue is most of us are forever doing something. And because we're ever doing something, we're conscious alert. And because we're conscious alert, we're tapping into not theta and alpha, which are states conducive to materializing our desired reality and entering our subconscious mind. We're utilizing beta waves. And because we're tapping into beta waves only bring forth the act of the conscious mind. So all this programming that you've been doing towards your subconscious never reaches it, because you're so alert on a day-to-day basis, caught up doing something, that you actually only reach the conscious mind and never what lies beneath, which is the subconscious mind, which is the true temple of God to which you need to materialize from. So whether 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 45, or an hour, make time every day to do nothing. And I quite literally mean do nothing. You literally just sit there. It doesn't matter if you nap or fall asleep, that doesn't matter. Just make time to do nothing, because what's naturally going to happen is this. Imagine you're looking at a pond and you see a pond and it's nice and clear on the surface. But if you throw a stone in there, all the dust and mud arises from the bottom. That is an example of what's going to take place in your mind the moment that you begin to do nothing. See, a lot of people have been sold a lie about meditation, which is actually what stops people from having the capability of meditating. A lot of people see meditation as clearing your mind without realizing that the act of clearing your mind is the destination that you get to after consistently meditating. But if you think that meditation is clearing your mind and you sit the fuck down and you try to meditate and your mind is loud as fuck, then you're going to think that you're doing something wrong. And then when you think that you've done something wrong, you internalize that belief. Then, due to the fact that there are no truths in reality other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true, you then begin to materialize an entirely wrong experience of what meditation is. When you sit down, your mind is supposed to scream at you. The louder your mind is when you sit down, that is a telltale sign, a check engine light, that you've got a whole bunch of thoughts that you haven't actually processed. A whole bunch of thoughts that never got to be finished. So you're supposed to sit in the loudness. You're supposed to sit in the chaos. Why do they say through the darkness, out through light? It's the understanding that in this particular realm of chaos in the mind, eventually what's going to happen is that it's going to dissolve, dissipate, and quieten the more that you just allow those thoughts to voice themselves. Now, those thoughts might say, hey, you're the best person ever. They might say, hey, you're a fucking asshole. They might say, why was that guy staring at me the other day at the bus stop? I should have said this. I should have said this. I should have done this. I should have. That's what your mind is. What are we going to eat later? Fuck, I'm hungry right now. That's what your mind is going to do. And that is nothing more than all the thoughts that never got to be finished, finally coming to surface to be finished. Pause again. And that's something that you need to allow yourself to do, because until you have the capability of allowing your thoughts to finish processing themselves, you will still have a bunch of unprocessed thoughts within you that are quite literally emitting frequencies to attract a multitude of different realities that you're not even aware of, because you're not even aware what's going on within. And once again, if you don't have the capability of understanding what's going on within, you will never have the capability of understanding what's going on without. So it is paramount to allow your thoughts to finish themselves. You need to consistently on a daily basis make time, because the more that you actually begin to see what your thoughts are saying, the more you get an inclination into what it is that you've been manifesting. And that's a bar. Please write that down. Now, when these thoughts arise, don't judge them. Don't agree with them. Don't disagree with them. Don't critique them. Don't say, you know what, I like that. Don't say anything. Just observe them. Because the mistake that you've also been making with your overthinking is an identification with thoughts. And the moment you begin to identify with thoughts, you begin to identify with the infinite amount of realities that could take place, whether positive or negative, due to the fact that your thoughts aren't your thoughts. You receive thoughts through the mental plane and experience them. You don't reply to every message that comes through. I got a message the other day, supposedly from the CEO of TikTok, right? Of course it wasn't him or her. It was probably like a scam. You know, one of those scam like messages that you get. But I don't respond to those. Why? Because I had the decision to say, I want to identify with this. Because you have to understand, no thought is real except the ones that you choose. And now that we've cleared that, now we can get to the real damage of what overthinking is doing to you and how your old frequency is actually fucking you up in a multitude of ways. Now we can get to it for real.
Get to it.
Get to it.
Your community is so nice. Someone said, best video I've ever seen. Thanks, Nero.
Thank you very much. Pleasure is all mine. But even through saying that, my videos will only reveal to you what is within you. And the irony is, if you go back and watch old videos that you've watched before, what you're going to pick up is completely different because your consciousness has evolved. You can't perceive anything in reality other than what you're the vibration of. And because your vibration's forever evolving, especially if you're on this path, you could go watch an old video and hear some shit that I said before that just hits your ear different now. And it's because your mind's in a different position.
Pause.
Okay. Sick.
Changing positions.
Sick.
Just finished your book and I feel like I'm just waking up from a bad dream.
Wow.
I finally know how the universe works and I'm about to make it my bitch. Thank you, Nero.
Ooh, I like that.
For real.
I like that.
Amazon #1 seller in all 3 categories.
Of course, man. Of course, man. I beg you pass the book.
You know we gotta do promo.
Outsmarting reality. Bestseller in all 3 categories on Amazon in less than 24 hours. All right, cool. Now let's actually get to it for real. I'm pretty sure your favorite color before was orange, no? I've already used purple.
Yeah, orange. What shade of orange? Let's see it. Is it dark enough though?
We'll see in it.
We'll see until these guys come for your head in the comments.
Cool. Now, overthinking. How does overthinking relate to your old frequency? You see, overthinking is a tactic of the old frequency used to keep you distracted to such a degree that you never actually begin to continue moving on the steps that you're making right now. I want you to understand something, and please understand this. Every time, especially if you're on the path of doing all this work that you've been doing, you might be doing your affirmations, your visualizations, reading these books, making these mental, alterations, so on and so forth. Anytime that you begin to overthink, I need you to understand something. Overthinking is a technique or a tactic deployed by the old frequency to keep you distracted, which means that anytime you catch yourself overthinking, I need you to understand that progress is being made. What do you mean, Nero? Well, you have to understand that the old frequency knows you just as well as you know yourself, if not even better, because it is quite literally a version of you, an old version of you that exists on the spiritual plane. It still understands all the experiences you've been through, all your perceptions towards experiences, how you felt about experiences. It quite literally understands you amazingly. And because it understands you amazingly, it knows how it can throw you off. So let's say you're walking the path to materializing your desired reality, quote unquote, and you now begin to overthink over a situation. What is that? Overthinking is a technique or a tactic deployed by the old frequency to keep you distracted because it knows progress is being made, which means that overthinking, to which you internalize as a bad thing, is actually a good thing. And it loves the fact that you interpret it as a bad thing. Why? Because there are no truths in reality other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true. And whatever the subconscious mind accepts as true will be made truth in reality. So once you begin to overthink and you go, fuck, I'm overthinking, fuck, my mind, and you internalize as a bad thing, now you make that bad thing exist on the subconscious level, which then negatively alters the experience that you actually have of experiencing it. Without realizing that the only reason your old frequency is getting you to overthink is because it feels under threat. And think about it like this. What if every time that you began overthinking was actually the step before transformation? And that's a bar, write that down. Every time you're about to get on a call with somebody to make a sale, or any time that you're about to go approach a girl, or any time that you want to say something to somebody that you care about, or any time that you want to put yourself up for a promotion, or any time that you want to apply for a job, no matter what it is, at every moment that you overthink is actually the step before transformation. But the overthinking has one purpose, and that's to distract you from taking that step forward. But if you don't have the understanding that overthinking is actually an indication that transformation is right in front of you. You internalize as a bad thing, which then on a subconscious level makes you internalize as a bad thing. And when it's bad within, it will be bad without, so which you then negatively begin to experience it, because now you've decided that overthinking is a bad thing without realizing that every time that you were overthinking, you were right there before transformation. Why? Because this is a technique deployed by the old frequency to keep you distracted. What do I mean? Well, you have to understand what overthinking is. When we begin to overthink, that is quite literally the mind, or the old frequency, I should say. Let me write it in red so it's a bit more evident. Overthinking is nothing more than the old frequency manufacturing problems. So you create problems where there is no problems. And once you create problems within, then you create problems without. And really think about this. Think about every time that you began overthinking, you probably started worrying about some shit that wasn't even gonna fucking happen in the first place, right? Of course. Your mind started running around a whole bunch of scenarios and a bunch of, scenes of what could happen, so on and so forth. That is the old frequency doing nothing more than manufacturing problems where there are no problems. Because overthinking is exactly what takes place when there are no problems. It's the old frequency that then begins to manufacture problems where there are no problems, so you then create problems within, so you create problems without. Because once you create problems within, then what begins to take place? You begin to become fearful. You begin to get worried. You begin to panic. You go into disharmony. And that distraction in of itself that arises from the old frequency does an amazing job at distracting you, because like I said, let's say you were right there, right before that transformation. And at the moment that you're on the path, your old frequency comes in. Old frequency, not only fans for the horny niggas. It comes in just as, I don't know why it's something like that.
God damn.
Just as you're about to reach that point of transformation, it comes in right in the middle, right there, and throws you off track in a multitude of different ways, on a multitude of different thoughts, worrying about a multitude of different things that were probably never even going to happen in the first place. And this remains right there in its glass cage, right in front of you, without you realizing that now, even though you was on a straight path right in front of you, you've now created a multitude of paths because you've allowed the old frequency to create a multitude of problems. More than likely, I need you to understand that once you overthink, the first thing that I need you to do is to disassociate from the idea that it is me that is overthinking. And this is a powerful shift. I need, every time that you begin overthinking, get your mind and redirect your mind to say, my old frequency is trying to get me to overthink. Because the moment that you do that, you disassociate yourself from being an overthinker, because once you begin to take on the consciousness or the frequency or the identity or the self-concept as somebody who's an overthinker, as I used to do, you then actually set yourself in motion to overthink continuously, because it exists within, because it exists on a subconscious level, because it exists within your consciousness, so it has to exist in reality. What you need to do when you overthink is to dissociate and get yourself to realize, my old frequency is trying to get me to overthink. This isn't me right now. This is my old frequency trying to get me to overthink. Because once you make it evident that this isn't you, you separate from that consciousness and you have it in front of you as opposed to within you. And that's where the biggest shifts can unfold. Because you can't move forward from overthinking so long as you're carrying the identity of being an overthinker. But when you see yourself separate and you understand the game that is being played here, as Sun Tzu said in The Art of War, all warfare is based upon deception. And your old frequency wants to deceive you into thinking that you are the overthinker and you are the one with the problems, as opposed to it creating problems out of thin air because it feels transformation is about to take place. And because it feels transformation is about to take place, it gets you to descend into a multitude of different scenes of what could happen and what should have happened and what could have been, in order to then put you into a state of being fearful, worried, panic, and disharmonious. So then that becomes the central unfolding point of everything that you seek to materialize. And then guess what? The thing that you're overthinking about begins to happen. Because it was going to happen? No. Because you allowed the old frequency to sway you vibrationally in the direction of where it wanted to go. Because before anything can exist physically, it first has to exist vibrationally. So overthinking, first and foremost, is a distraction. What is my old frequency trying to distract me from? When you want to be somebody who's more confident and you want to, let's say, apply for that job that you know you should get, and you begin overthinking, am I qualified. Like, will I even get it? Like, I'm sure there's people that are more qualified than me, and you know, like, why should I get it? Like, why am I not to deserve? What is my old frequency trying to distract me from? The transformation. Why? Because it knows the transformation is quite literally in front of me. I see it all the time when I'm out with my guys, when I rarely go out. I'll be like, go chat to that girl. Then they begin overthinking. What am I gonna say? I don't have Don Julio in my hand right now. Like, I don't have 1942 in my hand. Like, I don't have a Zoll. Like, I've got Captain Morgan's. Like, and I'm not wearing designer. Like, and maybe I'm not tall enough. That is quite literally the old frequency attempting to distract them from that particular degree of transformation, because your old frequency is your biggest up when it comes to transformation. It doesn't want to go. It doesn't want to go anywhere. Why would it want to go? It wants to continue staying. So it's going to do its best to do a whole bunch of tricks to kind of throw you off course. When you're about to go to close that deal, you begin thinking, like, how am I going to say it? Like, how am I going to say it? What if when I say my price, can I even afford this? Like, how am I going to, Why? Because transformation is right in front of you, but you have to be able to become aware of what you are unaware about. The biggest issue in life is that we are unaware of what leads to creation, and that's a bar, write that down. But the moment you become aware of what's going on within, and the moment you can objectively look at it and say, what the hell is going on here? What is my old frequency trying to distract me with? Then all you need to understand is that it's simply doing that because it wants you to continue to stay the same. And at that point, what no longer felt like a decision for you is now a decision. Because if you know that this nigga, your old frequency, is just doing the most to try to throw you off, then really and truly, you can do what the fuck you want. You can continue to take that step forward. But you can't take that step forward so long as you identify as an overthinker, because then you'll be followed with that frequency wherever you are, without understanding that overthinking is nothing more than a mind that is overfilled, and a mind that is overfilled will be hijacked and taken advantage of by the old frequency to try to get you to sway in the direction of coming right back to it. Because when you overthink, what happens? You don't do anything. Why? Because you're overthinking. It's easy to overthink when you underdo, and that's a bar, write that down. And unfortunately, besides
You're spitting stuff.
And besides what these spiritual people want you to understand, there's 3 planes of existence: mental, physical, spiritual. Physical. Action in of itself is paramount. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be difficult, because what we call struggle is nothing more than effort imbued with a negative frequency. It doesn't have to be a completely negative frequency, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. But action in of itself midwives the consciousness or the frequency or the energy that you're materializing into reality. So long as you don't have the capability of transforming, because successful manifestation requires alignment across all 3 planes of existence: mentally, spiritually, and physically. But it gets even deeper. Let me show you. This ain't my story about rags to riches, more about how I mastered physics. In a game I used to train like Rocky, catching chickens.
Benny.
Yep.
Yeah, Benny's cold still.
Yeah, he's cold.
Nero, bro. Imagine within 2 days after getting your book, new job. My best role to date by far as well.
Yeah, that's fire. That's fire.
Yo, quickly, let's talk about New York slang though.
Say that again?
Let's talk about some New York slang.
Oh yeah, our friend was teaching us some New York slang. Can't lie. For the man them in New York, this New York slang is a bit mad. It's a bit sus, I won't even lie.
How can you go to, do someone in and you say, yeah, I'm clapping you down? Or
yeah, I'm clapping you down. Or I'm gonna clap you. Nah. Or I'm gonna clap him.
Crazy.
What?
Crazy.
No, that's mad.
And if someone betrays you, you say, oh.
Backdoor.
You got backdoored.
Why are you backdooring me? You didn't hear about, he backdoored him. What? Clapping, backdoor. What was the other one? Jacking. Oh, when you rate someone's ting. Yeah. AJ, I'm jacking you right now, bro.
That is, I can't believe they say that.
I'm jacking you really hard right now. Oh, yo.
Sometimes I think America ain't real.
Are you guys jacking this video?
Oh, yeah, don't get them started. They're gonna be like, yeah, I'm jacking this video for real, Nero.
Yeah, I'm jacking this video today, huh? Back door is crazy.
Jacking this
Beloved.
video. Oh yeah, my heart.
My heart. They also call people my heart. I'm pretty sure we went and got this oxtail pizza. Amazing. On the box, I'm sure it said beloved.
Yeah, it did. It did.
But I think that's a Brooklyn thing. Blue. Cool. So, whenever it is that we're overthinking, as I said, we typically begin to overthink because we are underdoing, right? And when I say underdoing, also understand we may not be underdoing, we may also have done. So typically, when we overthink, it's either worrying about the future, about something that is yet to happen, or something that has already happened. And how you deal with these two are completely different. So I'll go into the first one. So anytime that we're overthinking about something that we are yet to do, right? So for example, you may, want to apply for a certain position. You may want to begin to, attract a partner in your life. You may want to, make a certain amount of money in your business, whatever it is. At any point that we begin to overthink, our mind begins to dwell on the ideas of what hasn't happened yet. We begin to say, how am I going to do this? Am I the right person for this? Like, will they will they think I'm qualified enough? Like, will she like me? Will he like me? And essentially, the only reason we overthink, whether you realize this or not, the only reason that we overthink is because we are worried about what is going to happen. And because we're worried about what is going to happen, we become paralyzed when it comes to doing. And because we begin to become paralyzed in doing, we actually just do nothing. And that's the problem. And the problem is that this is, once again, a check engine light of something that exists on a deeper level, which is a misaligned consciousness. Now, assuming that you people that watch me are lovely, hygienic people, more time, nobody has a problem waking up and brushing their teeth. More time, nobody has a problem showering. We'll leave room for error. We don't have a problem doing those things because we are aligned to those things. And anything that you're aligned to do, you will naturally do. And that's a bar. Please write that down. Anything that you are aligned to do, you will naturally do. So anything that you desire to do, you must become aligned to it in order to naturally be able to do it. But from time to time, we are misaligned in what it is that we're attempting to do. I'll give you the most simplest example. Let's say you're somebody who is unfit within, your state of consciousness, you're unhealthy within, and you want to begin to take action towards fitness and going to the gym and exercising. Going to the gym will feel like a fucking drag. When it rains, you'll be like, I would have went outside, but it's rain. When it's 6, you'll be like, everyone's getting off work right now. There's going to be no machines in the gym. You're always going to feel like within it's a degree of conflict in order to get to where you want. It's not something you naturally do. Like you naturally wake up and brush your teeth because you're in a state of consciousness as somebody who does that. So it's natural for you to do that. But when you're not something within, it's unnatural and even abnormal for you to go and do that thing. So in order to do that thing, it's this whole degree of conflict within. Now, when you're misaligned from a point of consciousness, taking the action feels unnatural. And when the action feels unnatural, it is something that you will hesitate upon. And when it's something that you will hesitate upon, it is something that you worry upon. And that is the whole story for us worrying about what is going to take place. Think about it. When whatever it is that you desire, whether to materialize a relationship, whether to materialize a job, a promotion in your job, a certain level in your business, a certain role, a closing a deal, no matter what it is, when you're overthinking about it, what that shows is that you are worried about the physical process of that taking place. And when you're worried about the physical process of that taking place, that is a check engine light that you are misaligned in your consciousness. Because the fact that you're worried about the physical action shows that there's worry within. And the fact that there's worry within, I need you to understand that this is something that you have to look at and be like, damn, why am I worried about doing this? I'm worried about doing this because in my state of being, there is also worry. And if there's worry in my state of being, then eventually, because being is ultimately what creates, when I go and do it, something that reflects that degree of worry is going to happen. So your issue isn't necessarily that you're paralyzed in your ability to do. Your issue is that you're misaligned in your consciousness and it's not aligned, because if it was aligned, you'd be natural. And because it's misaligned, then when you attempt to take action, it feels unnatural, so you hesitate. And because you hesitate, you begin to worry. That's when your mind begins to overthink. So whatever it is that you're overthinking about, whether approaching that girl, approaching that guy, applying for this job, applying for that promotion, trying to get to that level in your business, align your consciousness first. Once you align your consciousness and you align your frequency, then there'll be nothing to worry about, because you are already it, in the same way that you are somebody who brushes their teeth. So it's something that happens naturally. You don't wake up and you think, I'm not gonna brush my teeth today. Should I start on the left? You know what I'm saying? Hands are shaking. It's not one of them ones, because it's something that you're already aligned. And take that small example and extrapolate to whatever it is that you desire. Anytime that you're worried about doing, it's because you are misaligned in your state of being. And that was a bar, ladies and gentlemen. Write that down. So the indication is to get you to not to focus on your doing, because the more you focus on your doing, the more you get caught up in the overthinking. You're like, how. But the how takes care of itself when you're already in the right state of being. Some days I don't even know what I'm gonna do when I get to the gym. Then I get to the gym and it's just like, and this can be extrapolated for anything. You know what I'm saying? It can be extrapolated for anything, because the how takes care of itself when you're already in the right state of being. But overthinking about the how is a reflection that you're caught up in doing and not caught up in what you should truly be caught up in, which is
being.
And once you focus on your being, the doing takes care of itself, because you'll be naturally guided through your mental nudges and your intuition to what action to take. You won't even have to worry about how to go chat to that thing, because it's just naturally going to come out. You're not going to have to worry about what to say in that job interview, because you're naturally just going to flow. You're not going to have to worry about what to say on that call with that salesperson, because it's just naturally going to do what it has to do. Because when you are aligned, it's natural. And when you're aligned, it's natural. Say it with me. When I'm aligned, it is natural. And if it's unnatural and I'm hesitating and I'm leading to worry, then that means I'm caught up in my action and I'm caught up in doing. And if I'm caught up in doing, then that means I'm misaligned in my consciousness. I'm misaligned in my state of being. So I'm not being what I need to be. Let's say you're overthinking about applying for a job. Once you begin to decide that that job is already yours, and you begin to express gratitude within for already having that job, and you begin to visualize a scene, an emotionally charged scene that reflects somebody acknowledging the fact that you got that job and repeating that again and again and again with your imagination until you truly feel it within, then you're not going to have to worry about what to say in that job interview. You're not going to have to worry about what to say to that person. You're not going to have to worry about what to do here or what to do there. And there'll be no overthinking, because there'll be clarity. Because there'll be clarity because there's singularity in the frequency that you're emitting, which brings me to something else.
But don't fuck with me when you're telling me to see the signs. How can someone comment, I crave getting some?
Whoa.
Thanks for keeping me on track, Nero. You're gonna get some though.
Why did you read it like that?
Promise to not stop feeding us.
No promises. No promises at all. Oh my God. Going to Times Square. Guys, I've never been more overstimulated in my life.
First of all, Times Square is overrated.
So overrated. So overrated. We went to Times Square, we walked because we were staying at our hotel was outside Central Park.
Yeah.
So we walked to Times Square, and like I didn't know what was going on. Like with the like sheer amount of people that were there, I had no idea what was going on. Then like we're seeing like the drains, smoke is coming from the drains.
Oh, bro.
Don't understand that. Then there's a guy walking around in a Batman costume saying, "I'm Batman." Then I see somebody dressed in a Deadpool costume taking photos. Then people are playing soca music. Then there's photographers following us around like this.
You know, it was mad. And then they come up to you, show you the video, and they're like, yeah. $50.
$50. Like, what?
And then, ask for this.
And then people were beefing.
Oh,
and that guy was like, "I'll punch you in your mouth." It's like, what?
And I didn't realize, I'm not sure if we can say it on YouTube, that stuff was legal now.
Yeah. I didn't know that ZA was legal.
So
there.
people were just posting
Yeah,
up.
and we saw like the police were there. And I'm thinking, how are these lot smoking in front of the police? Casually. Then there was then the niggas were just posted out on the wall like this, just watching people. And I was like to AJ, I don't know about this place, man. I don't know about this place, man. But the one thing I will say about New York is that it's definitely more hustle than LA. Like people in LA act like time's just there and just, you know what I'm saying? But people in New York are grinding.
Yeah,
like,
they gotta go get it.
You can feel the energy of that hunger. LA ain't got that hunger. New York's got that hunger.
Mad.
Especially with their apartment prices, bro. Like,
bro, I was on TikTok. I'm seeing 1 bed, 1 bathroom.
Brothers would be living in a room the
$7,000.
size of this whiteboard for like $5K a month. Like, what? With a toilet next to the door.
Bro, I seen one where the shower was in the living room.
It's mad. I'll go with black. Cool, I'll go with black. Cool. So, one thing I just want to reiterate on the topic of overthinking. Typically, we overthink on what to do, right? And what we do leads to materialization of reality. That's not to say that action creates. Action doesn't create. It presents the illusion that action creates because it facilitates and midwives the frequency that comes in. But what we do from our point of action is based upon our mental nudges. You're mentally nudged to do certain things, to say certain things, to move a certain way. You're mentally nudged based upon your intuition. This is what I call the multi-dimensional sequence of events that lead to reality materializing. Your intuition is based upon your frequency, your state of consciousness, your self-concept. Once you're in the correct frequency and you're already seeing yourself in the position that you want to be mentally and emotionally, and you're allowing your imagination to cultivate emotional experiences, and you're mentally affirming throughout the day gratitude for being in the position that you want to be and perceiving reality through that lens, then once you begin to do that, your intuition naturally guides you to be correct, which means your mental nudges will also be correct, which then leads to the action that you're taking will be correct. And when the action that you're taking is correct, that will lead to a reality that is correct because it's not even something that you have to think about. So anytime that you're worried about what to do is because more often than not, you're in the wrong state of being. So when you catch yourself overthinking, think to yourself, I need to align. When you catch yourself overthinking, think to yourself, I need to align. When you catch yourself overthinking, think to yourself, I need to align. Whatever it is I'm overthinking about, take myself out the details and just focus on the end of whatever it is that I want to materialize and already see myself there, because in doing so, that will be a reflection of what is. Now, that example that I just covered right there was an example of how we overthink about things that we are yet to do. We also can overthink on situations that have unfolded. So let's say we have an argument with somebody, or we have a disharmonious situation, or somebody does something to us, or something happens to us that we just don't like, quote unquote. We can also begin to hyperfixate and overthink on, I should have said this. Like, I should. You ever had an argument with somebody and they just really like mashed you up in that argument? You're thinking, raw, I could have said this. Like, I could have said this, you know what I'm saying? And we have these situations like that as human beings where we begin to hyperfixate on past events. When we're overthinking, that is us being removed from the present, because we're either overthinking about the future or overthinking about the past. I just covered the future on how to stop overthinking about the future by aligning your consciousness and your frequency to then get you to a point where your intuition guides you to mental nudges, which then guides you to action, which then leads to natural action, as opposed to this disharmonious action that takes place within, which leads to conflict. But when we begin to overthink on a past, then that is a reflection of something else. You have to understand that within the subconscious mind, there is no past, there is no future. Everything is taking place at once. So when you go through a particular experience that is emotionally intensive, it enters the subconscious mind. And once it enters the subconscious mind, you begin to overthink about it and hyperfixate on it. And once you begin to hyperfixate and overthink about something that has already happened, you then get frustrated because it's like, I couldn't do anything to change it, without realizing that within this third dimensional realm, you can't do anything to change it. But within you can, because the subconscious mind is void of time. And because the subconscious mind doesn't adhere to time and is void of time, it doesn't necessarily care for the idea that this has happened in the past. In the subconscious, it's happening within right at this moment in time. So when you're hyperfixating or when you're overthinking on the past, here's how to sort that out. Overthink on the past lets me know that there is something within the subconscious that is giving you a particular degree of discomfort. And anything that is giving you discomfort on a subconscious level will then seek to materialize itself in reality. But the fact that it exists in the subconscious is a reflection that that particular energy, that emotional charge is there. And because that emotional charge is there, so long as it is there, it will stay within the subconscious mind. So what you need to do is to dissipate that emotional charge by doing one thing in particular. Whatever situation it is that you're hyperfixating on, you're worried about, you're like, fuck, I should have done this, I should have done this. Why did this happen? Why did they say this? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. What you need to come to a recognition of is that that is still taking place within your subconscious. Now, the beauty is because the subconscious can't tell the difference between imagination and reality, we get to hijack reality or the past reality that happened in the subconscious, and we can recreate it with imagination to stop you from overthinking on something that happened in the past. So when you're overthinking about something that happened in the past, all you need to do is this: get into a calm, nice, relaxed, meditative state. And when you're at that point of relaxation, the same way that you'd visualize something you'd want, visualize the thing that took place that you're overthinking about, but recreate it in a way that leads towards your desired reality. So let's say you go to a job interview for whatever reason, you absolutely fuck up that job interview. Like, it was absolutely fucking terrible. Like you just botched it. Like, you know, you got backdoored. He wasn't jacking you. You know what I'm saying? You wanted to get clapped right then and there in that moment. All you need to simply do is this: get into a meditative, relaxed state, close your eyes, and bring up that conversation that was taking place and recreate it so the employer is actually congratulating you for getting that job instead. Because once you begin to do that, and you begin to do that again and again, to repeating it like a loop, like a boomerang, Instagram boomerang.
Yeah.
Once you begin to repeat it like an Instagram boomerang, you allow the emotion to come from within. And when the emotion comes from within, the emotional charge of negativity that was there begins to dissipate, because now you have created a charge that is either equal or more powerful than the pre-established emotional charge with your desired reality. So then within your subconscious mind, there's nothing to worry about, because on the subconscious level, your mind says that went well, so there's nothing to worry about. You can do that with a breakup. You can do that with failing to close a deal. Recreate that deal in your head and close it in your head in the exact way you wanted, and do that again and again and again till there's no degree of discomfort within. Because once there's no discomfort within, you've eradicated and transmuted that discomfort into comfort. On a subconscious level, you then set emotional frequency for comfort to materializing your desired reality. And that is how you take care of the future and the past.
Bro got that board wet.
Always. You know, you are my loving baby. You got me twisted over.
Girl, you got me twisted over, yeah.
I know, I got what you need right here,
baby.
So what you wanna do?
Brother, I went to a football game and got in a small accident with a group of Argentinians. They were yelling.
Them Argentinians don't play when it comes to football. They don't play games when it comes to football.
They were yelling, and the whole time I remained calm. The whole time I knew nothing was going to happen, even though I was at fault and I didn't have my license. Police came, didn't give me a ticket, and let me go with a warning.
With no license?
Yeah, crazy. That's crazy work.
That's alchemy right there. I don't know if we can encourage that type of behavior, but the fact that you use metaphysics, we like that. I can't even be mad at it.
But I gotta be strong.
But I gotta be strong. Ain't a girl, you did me when I thought we were really down.
I thought we were.
Now you say you want me.
Now you say you want me, girl.
Make up your mind. I'm not gonna be for love. You know you were my loving baby. Got me twisted, oh.
Girl, you got me twisted over you.
I know.
What a song.
What a song. Now, I alluded to this earlier, but to come back and finalize that point, your old frequency, as I said, is very, very sneaky. And once you understand overthinking in its entirety, it will all make sense. But part of overthinking is that once you begin to overthink, think about overthinking like this, right? A whole bunch of different thoughts going out in a whole bunch of different directions. Left, right, center, back, forward, left.
Sounded like some GTA San Andreas cheat code.
All over the place like this. What has happened in that instance is that you fragmented your frequency. See, in order for you to materialize your desired reality, there has to be singularity in your frequency, and that's a bar, write that down. There has to be crystal clear clarity that you are who you say you are, that whatever it is that you seek to attain is exactly who you are right now, with pure conviction, because conviction is the most important word when it comes to manifestation. But overthinking leads to a fragmentation in frequency, because now it's getting you to go in all of these different paths, taking you away from singularity. So in instances that you are overthinking, hence why I'm saying it's important that you align your consciousness immediately, because when you align your consciousness and you recalibrate, in that instance, and you remember whatever it is that you desire, whether to be in a relationship, whether to make a certain amount of money, whether to get a job, get a certain position in your job, the moment that you say, that's what I want, I am that now, and you recalibrate, then in that instance, you step back into singularity, which steps into crystal clear clarity, which then allows for a degree of specificity, because the frequency that you emit for your desired reality has to align, but it can only align if you're respecting the specificity of that frequency in its entirety. But overthinking, as I said, leads to fragmentation. Once you catch yourself overthinking, you need to imagine your mind literally making a whole bunch of different lines. And instead of your mind going like this, you need to do this and bring it into one. Because the moment that you bring it into one, you then bring it into singularity, which then leads to crystal clear clarity, which then leads to the universe actually recognizing whatever it is that you want to materialize. When you're overthinking and you're not allowing for that degree of singularity, your mind is going in a whole bunch of different directions. When your mind is going in a whole bunch of different directions, you're emitting a whole bunch of different frequencies, a whole bunch of different states of consciousness, which is then removing all the hard work that you've done and throwing it out the window. New York was good to us, though.
I like New York.
I love New York.
Me too.
I don't think you love it as much as me, bro.
And I could see a different type of love in your eyes. Now, New York was a good time, man.
Where next, my boy?
You tell me.
Swear down.
You tell me.
Say less. Say less.
I don't feel like Toronto and New York will have a similar vibe, though.
You think so?
Maybe.
You're still on this Toronto thing. Still trying to see Drake, huh?
Yeah, my man. Also, New York say, word to my dead.
Yeah, word to my dead. Which actually sounds very like Canadian.
It sounds Canadian, doesn't it?
Yeah. Word to my dead.
Word to my dead. Oh my God. These times, man, in the UK are like, yo, mum's grave.
I'm on mum's whole time your mum's alive. Niggas will swear on their mum's grave the whole time their mum's alive. What?
Yo.
Nah, I love the energy of New Yorkers though. Like everyone's just like straight grinding.
Yeah, facts.
And I like being outside because I felt like we got the authentic New Yorkers. Like in our hotel, because we're staying in a nice place, it wasn't really authentic. Like obviously you can see like people are doing their job, so like they're being extremely and overly courteous. And in the UK, we're not really used to good service like that. So when we're seeing people like moving a certain way, like I remember we was going to gym one morning and like this guy was literally sounding like a Disney cartoon character. What did he say?
He was like, all right, got it.
all right, got it. We was like,
So, wait, what?
we was like, what? Like,
These are just like
have a
9
good
a.m.
one.
It's like 9 a.m.
It's like 9 a.m. Like, oh, bro, I know you're tired.
You know?
I know you slept late last night. Bro. All right, cool. Now, the final thing that I will say about overthinking is understanding that, once again, all of this are no more than all of these are no more than traps of the old frequency. And your old frequency will utilize the idea of perfection. Now, the whole reason you're overthinking is because whatever it is that you want to do, you want it to be perfect. And the irony is your old frequency will set you up to strive for perfection because it knows you can't attain it. So when you fail to attain perfection, you descend into disappointment, frustration, irritation, which are all emotions, ironically, that your old frequency was made from. It sets you up for perfection because it knows you can't strive for it. And when you're striving for a perfection, what that lets me know is that you're still focusing on a target. And when you're still focusing on a target, you're separated from your target without coming to the recognition that when you are one with your target, you won't have to strive for a perfection because you just naturally just do. The only people that strive for a degree of perfection when it comes to materialization of a particular desired reality are individuals who aren't it. When you're not it, you want it. You understand what I'm saying? And because when you're not it, you want it to be as perfect as possible. But your degree of wanting it to be perfect, whatever it is that you're overthinking about, you want to make sure you say the right lines in that job. And if you want to say the right lines to that girl, you want to say the right lines to that particular sales prospect, you want to make the right moves on the field or whatever it is that you do. Speaking of which, if you're an entrepreneur or an athlete or an actor who feels like their potential is stuck and you want to unleash that potential, link in the description. But to go back to that point, when you're not it, you want it, and you want it as perfect as possible. And that degree of perfection means that you're targeting perfection, which means you can never really be perfection. But when you're in that state of being who you want to be, you'll naturally be guided towards a particular degree of perfection. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it is great to be back. And that is the spiritual science of overthinking.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. Nah, I ain't finished, nigga. My office is a trap house in South Memphis, nigga. This guy's making us test new equipment. Bro, if this turns off in the fucking imagine I'm 30 minutes in and just... The spiritual science of overthinking. You see, overthinking has the capability of quite literally destroying everything it is that you seek to manifest in your life. Because quite simply, an